Hi, welcome to this week's edition of Blue Talk. We're going, John, Dave and myself are going to review both the European Cup semi-finals in the first half and of course look forward to our big game against Glasgow in the Pro 12 in the second, and also discuss the line selections. So anyway boys, we went down with our boots on.
We did, they say come back with your shield on it. We certainly came back on it. We gave them a 15-point head start, and you just can't do that in this level. You just can't. We were brilliant in the second half. We were superb. I was really proud of the team. Really proud of the whole outfit. But at the end of the day, you give a team as good as Clermont Auvergne a 15-point head start, you're going to pay for it. You decide. The thing to take positive out of is we gave a team as good as Clermont Auvergne a 15-point head start, and we were nearly able to take it back. That's a good sign.
Yeah, well, I think Sexton himself said it after the game. It's a young team, and they'll learn from it. They've got plenty of years in them. Maybe he hasn't, and Issa definitely hasn't. But the rest of them are quite young, and will have other days. And I think as Leinster fans, it's probably there's more positives out of it than negatives in terms of the future. Unfortunately, this year we won't be winning a Heineken Cup or having a crack at Saracens. But I think of all of the other three teams that are in it, I think we probably would have had the best crack at Saracens. Not saying we beat them, but I think we would have the best chance of beating them of the other three, of Clermont, Munster and ourselves. Having said that, Clermont could have an absolutely super play above themselves day and beat them. Saracens could be slightly complacent. It could, bounce of the ball in the day, but I think if Saracens played Clermont 10 times, I'd be surprised if Clermont won twice.
I just thought it was very disappointing, like the way that we performed in the first half. There was, four lineouts that were overthrown.
Yeah.
We missed some poor tackles. I thought Issa didn't have his best game, and that's about his second poor game in the last four. I can think of him. We were critical of him recently, and as you say, we just let them get all the momentum, and we didn't get. At one stage, I just watched the first half since I've come home, but it just said they had 70% possession in the first half an hour. You can't. A team as good as Clermont, second in the top 14, you can't give them that amount of.
We did silly things. I mean, you mentioned Issa. I mean, Johnny Sexton's kickoff was a beautiful kickoff. The flight of it was great. It was contestable. But Issa challenges the man in the air. Straight away, they have a penalty to relieve the pressure. So things like that add up. And he wasn't the only one. Other people were doing things. We'd put ourselves in a position of benefit, and then we do something stupid in that first half, or not even in the first half. In the first 25 minutes of the first half, we were doing a lot of silly things.
Yeah, well,
including the overthrows.
The lineouts were probably the biggest one, really, to be honest, in terms of individual errors. And as you always say, Dave, there's three components at least to every lineout. The calls you could definitely blame. Why after the first one and definitely the first two went astray? Why were they calling the back of the bloody lineout? Go safe 2-ball or 4-ball or something. Just don't go mad. Secure the bloody lineout, rather than risk it to the back. So that's the calling. Obviously, a bit of throwing inaccuracy as well. It was overthrows, and then lifting might not have been as snappy as So let's not blame it all on Rickard Strauss, but he did look nervous.
He does have to shift.
Out there.
He does have to shift some blame, but it wasn't all his. I think part of the problem. I think part of the issue was Leinster want to be progressive. They want to play progressive rugby, and throwing ball to 2 is not a progressive throw. It's a banker throw.
No, of
you
course.
can't really do something in the back line off ball off the front.
Yeah.
You want good ball off the middle or back. So perhaps that we were being hoisted by our own petard.
Okay,
there.
but you have to really go horses for courses,
Oh, yeah,
right?
yeah.
There was a lot of young, inexperienced fellas in that team that hadn't played, and that was probably one of the biggest matches that they've played to date in their career. We were missing 4 lines or something from our start.
Well,
not that all of them may have been selected, but
we were going to the Horse Show House to watch the game, and we were coming off the train, so we were coming out into Ballsbridge Village, and Miriam pointed across at the bridge and said, "When was the last time Leinster team started without any of the owners?"
Yeah.
That's the Carney, Sean O'Brien and Jamie Heaslip. Certainly in Europe, when was the last time we started without any of those? I mean, those are huge misses.
And Healy.
But going back to my point though, that you needed to win our primary ball, and just get it under the belt and get the ball in
Yeah.
your hands. And, it doesn't matter if you're not going to attack off first phase off, from a line out on your own 22. Just win the bloody ball.
There's a pragmatism that you have to engage with, and there's an interesting parallel between ourselves and Saracens. Saracens are the best team in Europe right now. I don't think there's any question about that.
No.
So that's the team. That's the standard against which we have to judge ourselves. Munster threw themselves at Saracens for first 15 minutes, and Saracens conceded a penalty. That was it. Saracens had a yellow card, conceded nothing.
Mm-hmm.
We had a yellow card, conceded whatever. So, and we weren't able to hold out Clermont Auvergne. Now, some might say Clermont Auvergne are considerably more dangerous in attack than Munster. Maybe they are, maybe they aren't. But what you see is the difference between the team that's already there, which is Saracens,
Yeah.
and the team that's trying to find its way there, which is us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, you look at how we played in the second half, you look at the young players that were there, you look at the young players who weren't even on the pitch, and you think, okay, Saracens are there, but we're on that road and we're coming up fast.
Yeah, but maybe this is a season too early.
Yeah.
Because if someone had said to you at the start of the year, well, you get to the European Cup semi-final, you're top of the Pro 12, with a home semi-final in that.
In the bank with 2 games to go.
Yeah, I think you might have just taken that.
Bitten
Oh God!
Arlo.
Yeah. With a load of young players been
Exactly.
blooded.
That
Absolutely.
reminds me of one point, and I saw a lot of criticism, and certainly speaking to some fellas over in France, there was criticism of the team selection. Do you think, for once, the team or the coaching staff took the safe option?
I know you're referring to Fergus over Adam Byrne there.
Well, that's one, yeah,
Um,
and I'd sort of go for.
Kirchner on the bench, maybe it'd be the
Perhaps,
safe one.
yeah, and also I was going to say, Cronin not starting and Strauss, opening the batting from hooker.
Well,
Yeah.
I think the Strauss Cronin one I think is just a matter of where a player's unique abilities can be best utilised.
But it's also maybe
Who's
Cronin
gonna-
wasn't
who-
fit
yeah.
enough
Yeah,
to
maybe
do.
so, maybe.
Who's going to have more impact off a bench, Strauss or Cronin?
That's true.
Because you know you're going to use both of them. I mean, like we always say, the days of the 15-man team and some other guys are dead. I mean, you're going to use both of them. So it's like, how do you best utilise their abilities? And I would say that Cronin's explosiveness can be best used off a bench. I don't think there's a huge amount between himself
No,
and Strauss. Strauss played really well last 2 games.
I don't think so, but Cronin is a man on fire at
Oh,
the
yeah,
moment.
yeah.
And
For sure.
like I suppose if you're, it's easy to sort of to go back in hindsight, but the thing is that we got off to such a poor start that we were playing continual catch up after that. So the benefit of having Cronin on the bench
Yeah.
was kind of negated.
Ironically, the one area where Cronin is often criticised is line out throw.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
You know, so
well, they're
it's-
all 3 of them are.
Yeah.
None of them are perfect on the line out thrown. What I'd say is, in regards to Fergus, which to me was the biggest, the thing I saw most people complain about, that Adam Byrne should be there because he's just so electric and he could have cut them up and yada yada. Like Fergus was there in a team. You just said we're missing the Carneys, Jamie Heaslip, Sean O'Brien, Cian Healy. That's an awful lot of leaders to be missing, and every one of them pretty much are leaders. Maybe Dave Carney you might say, but he's definitely way experienced. So to put you've got Joey Carberry on the pitch, Gary Ringrose, Robbie Henshaw, who we tend to think of as being inexperienced. Well, he is pretty experienced, but he's still very young, and he wouldn't have huge amount of European knockout experience either.
Well,
He has test match
if
experience.
you had Adam Byrne there,
But-
you'd basically have them. They'd have to send Johnny Sexton in to buy the drink.
Exactly. But, you're putting Fergus McFadden into that, I don't think was such a bad call. The guy bleeds Leinster. He's as committed as anything. And I imagine he would be top notch in the dressing room, to have about the environment, to give guys with a bit of flair like Ringrose and Carberry, a bit of a, what would I say, a bit of
Stability and experience.
stability and experience, exactly. So I wouldn't be complaining about the selections at all.
And ironically, it wasn't Fergus McFadden that was targeted.
No, it was
Bizarre.
Carberry, yeah.
It was the other. It was Carberry and Nathiwa, which was. I would have thought that would have been the side you don't go down, but maybe that's. We often say if you want to really beat a team, you have to beat them up where they think they're strongest. Maybe that was part of the thinking as well.
They targeted Kirby a lot with the high ball.
They did, yeah. He was, but he's young. I said, I mean, I was saying like he's great at running up to look at the balls landing, but I mean he's young. It's his first season at senior rugby. Never mind switching between positions. A good player like Kirby, an intelligent player like Kirby, and an honest player like Kirby will work it out.
Yeah, the guy is. When you consider he was playing less than a year ago,
yeah.
he was playing in the AIL final.
Yeah, yeah.
Like he's since gone on to beat the All Blacks and playing all kinds of top games, including that European knockout. Like people are banging on the door for 5, 6, 7 years and don't get into those situations.
This year he's been talked about as a Lions bolter.
It shows you the level the guy is at.
Yeah.
Okay, of course he's not the finished article. Gee, how can you be the finished article with 6 months of rugby under your, top class rugby under
Senior rugby.
True. Well, one young man was sensational in the second half, and he scored a great try.
Oh, yeah. A try for the ages, I think.
Yeah, well, this was his Brian O'Driscoll moment, wasn't it?
Absolutely.
One thing I noticed is Devon often gets tackled but his ball presentation is always excellent. Mm-hmm. This is just wonderful. Step.
Step, and off we go. Silky, isn't it? And no pressure on him.
Scott's betting is currently still on hold, looking to buy an after-service package for that dummy he bought.
Yeah.
Fantastic run.
Oh, it was brilliant.
Cracker of a try. He had to be lifted up at the end of it. He was cream crackered when he got.
It was very hot.
The line.
It was really hot.
Yeah. Well, by our standards.
Well, by our standards, yeah.
It was ridiculously hot.
Just 2 great steps there.
Yeah.
And this is just fantastic.
He just has great feet, and that's a ridiculous dummy. Parra gave up. Abandon and had to come in after. Parra obviously hasn't got the legs anymore.
It wasn't even a full tilt. Like he's a full tilt, and then he's gone into cruise there.
You can see Abandon and
A
closing.
little clothesline just as he's going over the line.
That was a great try. I mean, but he had a great second half. He was really, really good in the second half. I mean,
Yeah.
himself and Henshaw have been for so long. Like the Leinster team evolved as Darcy and O'Driscoll. Darcy and O'Driscoll. How are they ever going to replace Darcy and O'Driscoll? Darcy and O'Driscoll.
Henshaw and Ringrose.
Henshaw and Ringrose seem to be. I mean, they're not the new Darcy and O'Driscoll, but they are the first Henshaw and Ringrose.
Yeah, that's there for. That's a partnership that's there for.
Yeah.
Hopefully
for
10 years.
Leinster and Ireland.
For Leinster and Ireland.
Yeah. Well, what about the other match? Munster, they just imploded, didn't they?
I have to say, Munster, if you just said earlier at the start of the year, if you'd have told us that we'd be doing, if you'd have told Munster at the start of the year that they'd be playing Saracens in Lansdowne Road
They'd
and the
laughed
packed
at you.
at Lansdowne Road, and that they'd be looking like they were going to top the Pro 12, like they are playing so far above where you would expect them to this year that it's no shame being humbled by Saracens. Saracens are, we said it last week, the Borg. They were, and they assimilated them. Munster gave it, and they went down fighting. Okay, it was 28 or 26-3 with 5 minutes to go, and they got it. But they fought it.
They scored in the
scored
6th minute, and they scored in the 79th minute.
Well, there you go.
And nothing in between.
They kept it going.
That's a blunt attack.
It was.
Like,
it was.
And Saracens left 15 points on the ground, literally. A minimum of 15 points on the ground. With Wigglesworth, Cruz, and Ashton knock-ons.
They were beaten up, right?
It was a demolishment, like.
They were beaten up, and they were also they were totally contained at all times of the game. And because Saracens,
Containment is actually.
Saracens' defence is so aggressive that their halfbacks, who obviously didn't have a great game, and I don't think that kicking game suits Tyler Blaine now at all. But it just didn't suit Saracens either. Like that's meat and drink to them. They kicking contestables against them under pressure though was the thing. They were constantly on the back foot when they were doing that. And
Duncan Williams was just kicking the ball away. Like
Well, they weren't
hardly
contestables.
They weren't
That's
hardly
it.
contestables.
That was the loss that Murray
Without
was.
exactly
Yeah.
without Conor Murray, they were always going to be on the back foot trying to play that kind of a game. Like they might have got a bit more headway with it, but because they were under such pressure, the pack was under such pressure. They've like all their lions are nearly in the pack, so they've that juggernaut coming at you with the Vunipola brothers and Maro Itoje and all these lads coming at you. That by the time you get the ball, you're under such pressure that you're not able to.
It's like a relentless juggernaut, as
they
you
are.
say.
They're just a machine, and they just eat you up and spit you out. So
I've
I don't think there's any shame in Munster. Yes, they were beaten and beaten well, but I don't think there's any shame for where they are and what they did, and you can't fault their commitment either.
I've never been a paid up member of the Mario Itoje fan club. I've said it before, but geez, on Saturday I kind of started looking out the application form.
Yeah.
Wow, he was just incredible. I mean, Saracens were. I mean, if you watch the game from a rugby analysis point of view, watching Saracens, it's just an education. If you don't have any skin in the game, then you just watch it. The way they play, the way they apply pressure in one place, take it off in another, then move it around. The way that they don't play any rugby whatsoever in their own half. None.
Mm-hmm.
They have no interest in playing rugby in their own half. They will kick it away, and they're not even that worried about how contestable the kicks are, about how accurate they are. They'll just boot it down
Very
the other
true.
end of the pitch.
Very true.
Because they have, when their defence comes up, they reckon that they've got a good chance of winning that ball back. Maybe they're not going to win it from the kick, but they might win it 2, 3, 4 phases on, or they'll force you into a bad kick, which is what they did to Munster.
Mm-hmm.
But just watch, I mean, they play no rugby in their own half. Not interested in it. Like, we were going from deep and going from 22, and we were causing havoc in the second half.
Would have been an
Claremont.
interesting clash of styles.
Saracens have no interest in that. Saracens look at that and see that's kind of a waste of energy. You know, and that leads me to the question: is that a weakness in Saracens? Is there perhaps a fitness issue there that they don't want?
Oh, they're super
No,
fit.
but they don't want their big forwards having to play rugby in their own half. That they're saving their energy to play it in the opposition
I
half.
think it's like as we mentioned earlier about Leinster not
What about
being practical by winning the ball and and safe 2 ball. That's what Saracens are. They're just efficient and practical and
Like
no
a shark.
fuss and
Yeah. Well, that's the other thing that we blew as well as the lineouts was those restarts.
Yeah,
You know, we didn't deal with restarts very well. I know we're switching back and forward between games now, but
I'm sure people will understand what we're talking about.
there was several, including the last one where they kicked off and regained the ball in our 22. Like, that was outrageous. You know, all we need to do is get possession there. We'd some hope. You know, if they got possession, we'd no hope. Anyway, meanwhile, back at Munster v Saracens.
Yeah, I mean, watching Saracens play is like watching a shark. A shark is a perfect, through millions of years of evolution, and then sharks haven't evolved in millions of years. They got to a certain point because they were the ideal killing machine, and that's what Saracens are.
Yeah.
Saracens are the ideal killing machine when it in a rugby context, and they murdered Munster. They killed Munster out there. They really, really did. It was, you see guys like, guys that Munster put that need to play well for Munster to win. Obviously, Murray wasn't there, which is a huge loss because we're talking about the kicking game. We're talking about contestables. Murray makes contestables, whereas Duncan Williams just isn't able to do that. Tyler Blayendale wants to play a certain way, but he's not able to in the face of what Saracens are
Not
doing.
getting good ball, yeah.
Yeah.
But do you know what else
they
they're missing?
They shut down CJ Stander. They shut down, to a certain extent, although he did well in the line-out, they shut down Peter O'Mahony, and I don't even know who was the other back row.
O'Donnell.
I know.
And he got
That's
injured.
the joke.
Sorry.
But that's the joke I make. I mean, they completely demolished Munster's back five.
Yeah.
Munster got the nudge on in one scrum, but Saracens learned from it. Like the board, they assimilated it and added it to the whole. Because if you watch the scrum for the penalty for 6-3 came from a scrum. You watch that scrum, right? The ball goes in, and Saracens hold. And then they, as one, they lower, and they hold a beat, and then they drive. They lower the scrum, and Munster are out, like Kilcoyne is already halfway in a hinge when they lower it, and then they drive into him, and that folds him over. It was a thing of beauty. I know I sound like an evangelist for them, but just that one
Scrum
piece,
nerd.
just that one piece of play was just really, really showed how on it they were.
You know, the other thing Munster don't have, and it's going to be pretty obvious to you really because they've never had it, centres.
Yeah.
Like, they've got Zebo and Earls out there who can do the funky stuff, but like Taute and Scannell, I think was a bit injured. He'd a bit of.
Well, they had Saili on the bench. I mean, you'd have to question.
Taute is not a. Saidi can distribute a bit, all right, but Taute is not a distributor. He's an old dog for the hard road, even though he's not that old.
You'd have to question Erasmus because he had no scrum half substitute on the bench. Right?
Yeah, that was a very risky one, all right.
We saw Angus Lloyd play against Ulster. Now, admittedly,
Saracens would have eaten them.
he's very inexperienced. But they also have on their books and registered for Europe a world champion under 20 Springbok in Abri Griesel. Why didn't they utilise him? Could he be any worse than having no scrum half on the bench? I don't think so. And so there was things that were done that were unusual, shall we say, in terms of the selection.
But that seemed very weird, didn't it? I mean,
Yeah,
it was all
I thought that was super weird.
like even Ronan O'Gara was saying, "Oh, they might even play Murray, and just give him 10 minutes, even see how he goes." But
I thought that was super odd because you leave yourself a hostage fortune. Now Saracens don't, although Saracens are not they don't hate putting a bit of biff in if they have to. You leave yourself a hostage to fortune if you've only got one scrum half. You know what they're going to do? Put Ian Keatley in there?
I think that was the plan.
I think it was a bit of a mistake in Rasmus's point because they
Or
left
Saili, maybe.
themselves in a situation where they had no option except to stick with Williams, no matter how bad he was playing, and he played poorly. You know.
Well, again, he wasn't let. They were in his face. He got no decent ball.
Yeah, but a good scrum like Conor Murray would at least be able to throw the shoulder in there and he'd do something. Whereas Williams isn't as bad
Conor
as a lot of
Murray-
people in Munster will tell you, but he's not up to that level.
Conor Murray is, possibly, certainly the best scrum half in the Northern Hemisphere. So, it's always going to be a step down, no matter who's
Oh yeah,
behind him.
it was just. I mean, it was tough, but they've since they've suffered a few injuries in it as well.
Yeah.
I mean, Dacel is injured. He broke his ribs in that marvellous try-saving
You
tackle
could
on
see he
Bruce.
was discomfort in it, all right.
So he's going to be out for a while. I'm sure they'll sign a joker though. And I don't know. I mean, CJ Stander, they say was fit. He didn't look fit. Although
I think his ankle is a little
yeah,
bit Jeff Ricey. But yeah, you can't. I
Treviso
did.
go for 3 wins on the trot.
you never know.
I did admire their heart and their dedication, the way they stuck to it. But they were outclassed. They were never.
Yeah.
They died with their boots on to a degree as well. You can't say they never give up.
They mightn't have died with their boots on, but they fought Saracen stealing them.
Well, disappointing weekend for Irish rugby anyway.
So the
for sure.
results were disappointing, but I think there was a lot to. I mean, there's a
No,
lot
there
to take
was,
out of it from
absolutely.
both Munster and Ireland. I mean, or Munster and Leinster. We saw. Obviously, we talked about the young players at Leinster, but I mean, that's a Munster team that there's some young players in there who looking pretty damn good. I mean, they were injured and stuff like that. So you've still got Scanlon, Earls, Conway are looking good. Conway's looking like a real prospect now. He's really played himself into seniority.
Finally,
Darren Sweetenham's had a very good season for Munster. So Conor Oliver now is beginning to come through. So there's reasons. They've John Ryan and Cronin in the front row, Scanlon at hooker. So there's reasons for us all. I mean, okay, the results were disappointing at the weekend, but on a whole, the European season has been very positive, I think, for both provinces.
yeah. Well, considering that no Irish or Pro 12 team is ever going to get to a semi-final of too late. But that was the narrative a year ago.
Yeah.
There'll never be a Pro 12 team in the semi-final of the Champions Cup again, or at least not for several years. Well, there you go. There were 2, and they might be back next year.
Well, I thought one team was exceptional that we played against, or that was played against, was Saracens.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Claremont were there for the taking.
Oh, they
And
were.
we
They
gave
were.
them
Yeah.
way
They
too
were.
much room, and they, in fairness to them, you have to admire them. They took every
You don't want to be
opportunity.
disrespectful to Claremont because for start they won, and also they're nice chaps. But
With Brock James at out half, they would have lost.
I have a sense that's a game we lost.
Ah, well, we had an opportunity to win
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
And what about the disallowed try?
It was a disallowed try.
Yeah,
Yeah, it
yeah,
was.
But it
I
was
mean,
it was such a momentum killer.
it was.
I mean,
It was a 10-point swing. It
Yeah,
really was. I
pointer.
mean, that was a try that the try itself, if it had just on its own put us in the lead, and then take that away, and then add another 3 points to the other side. It was these things. It was a psychic blow. But in fairness, I mean, we didn't let it do us down because we went up and we scored that wonderful try from Ringrose not all that long afterwards. There's a big parallel, I think, between this match and our previous encounters with Claremont. In 2010,
They were due one.
yeah, they were due one. In 2010, Brock James couldn't buy a drop goal, right? 2017, Camille Lopez bangs over two
Two, yeah.
and strikes them well.
Karma.
Yeah. In 2012, we scored a try through Keane Healy. 2017, using the exact same move, we get called back. Small things. But it's a cyclical. I always go on about the cyclical nature of sport, and that's it.
TMO in that game,
Yeah.
like if they had TMOs like that 10 years ago, or the powers of TMOs were like that 10 years ago, like Richie McCaw would have had half the, you know, all of those dark arts, the Leicester team, the Munster team of the early Heineken Cup era, both of those teams would have, you know, the hand of back would have been
Exactly.
called back,
But
for example.
it took our backline a long time to adjust to the new TMO environment. Because a lot of those screen moves that we used to run in the time of
Would have been
Felipe
offside.
and O'Driscoll and Darcy, we'd have got. You have to be 100% certain that you're not getting into someone's way. You know, and sometimes we did get into people's way to run those screen moves.
But sure, look
So-
at the who was it? Was it Jamie Heaslip
Heaslip.
held in the
Yeah.
final
Heineken
against
Cup, yeah.
Northampton?
Yeah.
Held a player to get to create the hole for, I think it was Sexton to get through.
There's all that kind of dark arts, and to a certain extent, that's one thing we miss with Heaslip is that knowledge of how to apply
At the
certain
right time,
skills at
yeah.
the right time.
But when you mentioned about sort of the similarities between the previous matches against Claremont.
I'm going to use the word juxtaposition.
Well, like
One thing that struck me about it was a mirror image of what used to traditionally happen at big European Cup weekends. Munster would play, and if they won, they won. But if they lost, they seemed to go down swinging.
Yeah.
And you know, there was, I can remember, I think they played Toulouse, and it was in maybe 03, something like that, and
they were away against Toulouse
and they lost.
and we lost the purpose.
But we went down without even landing a punch, whereas they went down kicking and screaming and
away as well.
away. And I thought that's reminded me that I was obviously disappointed, but also enormously proud of a young team to put up a display they did, especially in the second half. Whereas I mightn't be as proud as I was a Munster man.
Future's bright, future's blue.
Well, I heard Sexton saying after the game that he'd never lost a semi-final before, and that's because he was injured for the one we lost in 2010, and he was in France for the one that we lost in 2015. So, like that was our 9th semi-final. But they all came in a big clutch there between 09 and 12, basically. We've had 2 since then and 2 before then. So the other, whatever that is, 5 were all in a row. 10, 11, 12, 9, 10, 11, 12. You know, so we're used to semi-finals. We've never lost a final, by the way. Munster say you had to lose 2 to win. We never lost one, so hopefully the next one we won't lose it if we ever get to another one, which I'm hopeful for.
We've been unfortunate. Like the last 2 have been away in France. You know, like it's a tricky place to go. They had to drive for 2 hours. You know, there was 40,000 of them in the stadium. There was 1,000 Irish or Leinster
To
fans.
the 2 clubs with the biggest budgets in world rugby. I mean, Claremont have the biggest budget in world rugby, and Toulon have the second biggest.
Didn't know that.
There you go. Anyway, boys, as ever, thanks very much, and thanks so much for watching. Cheers.